Hey guys, Mark here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the male version of OnlyFans. Now, when you think about OnlyFans, there's some pros, right? Let's be honest. I'm not here to judge. I'm just kidding. I'm going to judge actually quite a bit. But there are obviously some pretty clear pros to OnlyFans, right? Number one, you can make a lot of freaking money. A lot of freaking money, all right? Unfortunately, you also typically have to be a woman to really make some good money. Next, not only do you have to be a woman, but how much money you can actually make is directly predicated on how attractive you actually are. And if you don't have that, then, well, you're kind of like making it pretty difficult on yourself to make money. And probably worst of all, you have to, of course, sell your soul. And nobody wants to do that, right? But I want to talk to you guys in this video about the male version of OnlyFans, which is nothing other than, of course, branded dropshipping. Now, with branded dropshipping, yes, you can still make a lot of freaking money. And even better, you don't make the money with your body, you make it with your brain. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, you can still make money because the money that you make is directly predicated on your brain, once again, and not your body. It doesn't matter if you're the ugliest dude on the planet. Yes, you can still make a lot of freaking money. And of course, once again, best part of all, you do not have to sell your soul, which once again, that's not anything that we want. It's kind of funny that I did 3 X's. That's very ironic. But look, the whole reason I'm making this video, it's not just to talk shit about OnlyFans. It's really to tell you that when it comes to branded dropshipping, most people have this huge misconception that the only way that you can possibly make money is you like find this golden winning product that's just like hitting the freaking lottery, and you just have to test until you hopefully find something that maybe makes you a little bit of money. And they say you have to like rip content and do all this bullshit that is never even, actually going to get you results, and it's probably going to get you your ad account shut down and all these terrible things happening that makes it really difficult for you to actually make any money. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be this complicated and it doesn't have to be this difficult. Making money with e-com is not easy, but it is very simple. All right. This is my philosophy right here. All you have to do, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? All you have to do is simply find something that's already making money. It's already validated. And the way that I quantify validation is you have to be able to prove that they're doing, one competitor is doing at least $300,000 a month in revenue. And if you do that, here's the key. All you have to do is outcompete them on one single thing. And the best part is there's a list of 9 different things that you can choose from to actually outcompete them on, okay? Because the worst thing you could possibly do is just copy your competitor one-to-one, because you're absolutely gonna fail if you try to do that. What happens when you do that is, number one, Facebook realizes very, very quickly, TikTok realizes very quickly, they'll either shut down your ad account, shut down your payment processor. There's nothing good really is gonna come of it, right? And even if it does happen that you don't get stuff shut down, there's no guarantee that you're gonna be profitable. And so what you do is you take something that's winning and you just make one tiny little tweak to it, to the point where if you compete on one thing, you can literally build a business for yourself that makes tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in profit. I'm not talking revenue, I'm talking about profit. And that seems crazy, that seems unattainable, then that's why I'm making this video, because I used to think the same thing, but now I'm here actually doing it myself, okay? So what I want to show you is the actual list of 9 things that you can compete on to make real money with branded dropshipping. Because again, if you see a competitor and they're making money, they're probably doing about 1 or 2 things right. And if you take that same product, the same angle, whatever, and you just change one tiny little thing, right? Just because they're winning doesn't mean that they're perfect. They're vulnerable in at least one way. And when you have a competitive advantage that you're actually good at, that's where you can really make fuck you money. All right, so let's go through the 9 competitive advantages. The first competitive advantage that you could possibly have is just having a big ass fucking budget. And when I say big budget, I'm talking like a minimum of $20,000 to $30,000 that you can invest into paid advertising. Because one of the things about running ads is that it's based off of how much data you give it, right? If you just spend a lot of money on ads, you're gonna get a lot of data back. I always say that there's no such thing as losing money on Facebook, on TikTok, wherever you're running ads. All that really exists is you buying data. And if you know how to read that data, then you can manipulate certain variables to the point where you can actually be profitable. But if you're willing to take a great loss up front, you're putting yourself at a very, very solid competitive advantage. Obviously, that's not what most people are going to want to do. And probably most people watching this video, not something they want to do. Now, the second thing that you can compete on is pixel and data. What I mean by pixel and data is that all of these social media companies where you typically run ads, or even non-social media companies, whether that's Facebook, Google, TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, I don't really give a shit where you're running ads, but all these companies have one thing in common. They're not actual social media companies. What they are is data companies. And that one single thing that holds all the data, that captures all the data, is your pixel. And so perfect example is if you were running ads and you were competing with somebody and you have like a completely fresh new ad account, no data, no nothing, right? Basically completely fresh. You're an ad running virgin. And then you're competing with a guy that has an ad account in the exact same product, the exact same niche, but he has, let's say, $50,000, $100,000 worth of ad spend in this ad account, which means the pixel is very, very seasoned. It knows exactly how to find the perfect buyers, the most valuable buyers. When you compete against somebody like that, this guy right here is going to lose every single freaking time because he doesn't have the pixel advantage that the competitor does. So if you're able to compete on this, it's going to make everything else easier. But once again, it typically requires at least a little bit of capital to start up, unless you use something like an agency account. And even then, you don't have the specific data to your product and to your brand. The third thing that you can compete on is what I like to call back-end economics. So think about it this way. When a customer comes through and they actually go, oh, I really fucked up his head there. And they go to your store and they decide to buy something from you, that is called the front end purchase, right? They weren't a customer and then they become a customer. That's no longer the front end. Now they're in the back end of your business. So if you hear people saying like front end, back end, that's basically the difference, right? So the difference between really average businesses and amazing businesses is how much they actually monetize their back end. So this is the difference between what's called AOV, which is your average order value, and LTV, which is your lifetime value of your customer. So competing on back-end economics is competing on LTV. And the perfect example I can give you here is imagine if you buy a product and you sign up for some type of subscription, right? Let's say that you buy a subscription that goes along with your product. Think of like a sleep mattress, right? Have you buy the product, which is like $2,000, and then they sign you up for the subscription so you can have analytics on your sleep. And I know this because I fucking pay for it. And every single month I get billed, I don't know what the actual amount is. Let's say every single month I get billed $30. So even though I paid $2,000 upfront, that was the front end product price. But every single month, $30 leaves my fucking bank account. And so that means that we're all the customers that are paying them subscriptions, they are increasing their LTV. And so they are now competing not only on front end profitability, but also on back end economics. And you can do this through subscriptions, you can do this through email and SMS, you can do this through continuity programs. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you continue to sell your existing customers. And this is something most dropshippers don't understand. They're all about just acquiring their customer and then fuck off. That's not how you make a lot of money with branded dropshipping. The way that you really make money is that you acquire the customer. Okay, you did the easy part. The hard part is actually taking that customer and continuing to sell them more products. I don't care if it's info products, if it's software, if it's more e-commerce products, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're making that customer more valuable to your business. That is something that you can compete on that most businesses, again, they have no idea how to do. I can tell you this because we're currently implementing it and it's not easy. It is simple. Now, the fourth thing you can be competing on is the exact opposite of back-end economics, and it's of course front-end economics. And in the same way that back-end economics is basically translated into LTV, front-end economics is translated into AOV, which stands for average order value. All this means is how much money can you collect from your customers on their very first touch point with your business, all right? So perfect example that I used, this is one of my favorite ways to compete myself, and this is what a lot of my YouTube channel is focused on. So if you haven't watched my videos, watch them. And what this basically means is when they come through, a lot of people, they just have one single product that they sell to customers. This is one of the worst things that you can possibly do, because as soon as they buy something from you, you want to send them down what's called an upsell path, where you continue to put more and more offers in front of their face to collect more cash before they go into the back end of your business. Okay. So perfect example, if you want to know if your front end economics are good, let's say that you're selling a $50 product, right? Let's say it's some posture corrector that you somehow are able to sell for $50, right? Good on you. Now, if you're selling it for $50, let's say, after somebody pays for it, you have a quantity discount, right? Where if you buy more than one, you can save a little bit of money, which increases your average order value. Let's say you also have what's called an order bump, which is a little box that you can tick on a checkout page that adds, for example, priority shipping, or it adds an info product, or it adds another e-commerce product. Whatever it is, that's another way that you can increase your AOV. And also, one of the most powerful of all is having what's called OTOs, right? And OTOs stands for one-time offers. Don't worry about the terminology. All this means is offers that are placed after a customer makes a purchase, right? So if they're coming into your dropshipping business and, let's say that this is the checkout page and here they actually submit their payment. Most e-commerce owners, most dropshippers, they just stop right here. But this is one of the worst things that you can possibly do, because what most people don't understand is that this little line right here, when they submit their credit card information into your business, Stripe or whoever processes the payment, you just got that customer in the most emotional state that they will ever be in the history of your business. And the best thing you can do as an entrepreneur is maximize that value from here on out. So you can add additional steps in your funnel that are upselling products. Now, they could be upselling with a VSL, with a TSL, with anything else. And then you can also have downsell offers as well. So even if somebody sees this page, you're like, no, I don't want this offer. Cool. Downsell them another product or the same product, but at a discount. And you can do this for every single step in your funnel. What this does is each one of these little steps here is actually collecting cash. And all that cash is going to be sent directly into what? Your AOV, right? That's really the key to competing on front end economics. And I have so many more videos on my channel you guys can check out if you want to go into detail with that. The next thing that you can compete on in your business is going to be creatives, right? And when I say creatives, if you don't know what this means, it's specifically ad creatives. And you can do this in two different ways, all right? The creative is simply like the visual asset that's associated with the ad. So it could be a static image, could be a video, could be like a VSL, could be a UGC ad, doesn't really matter. It's just a visual asset behind your ads that you're running, right? And there's two things that you can do here that you can compete on. This is actually a little bonus, right? You can compete on quality or you can compete on quantity of creatives, right? Or you could be a real fucking G and compete on both. But that's gonna obviously take some time and a lot of skill to be able to do that. Now, if you think of a brand, there's many brands that have been able to scale to 8 figures off of one main ad creative. That's competing on ad creative quality. If you just have an eye for creating phenomenal ads that just scale like crazy on cold traffic, think of a brand, for example, Classic Tees, amazing brand. And they had a few ads, I think it was like 2 or 3 that were very humorous, conducted very, very well, literally drove over 7 figures of sales for that one single ad. And if you have multiple of those, man, you're printing at that point. The other side of this is, of course, quantity of ads. Now, if you're a real fucking dog, this is what I like to call Chad ramming volume, okay? So if you're a real Chad and you don't really care about quality and you just want to rip creatives, not rip as in steal, but like test like a crazy motherfucker, then you want to compete on quantity and just testing an obscene amount of ads. Because again, I think everybody should be testing more ads because the creative is ultimately what determines the success of your business. Like 100%, hands down, every single time. Ads are what flood your business with customers. And if you're good at creating them, or at least good at creating them at scale, like quantity, you're gonna be able to make a lot of money for the rest of your life. Like this is a skill that will never leave you. You can always go into any business and be able to make them money. That's one of the most valuable skill sets you could ever have. Number 6 on this list of competitive advantages is competing on angles. So not everybody buys a product for the same reason. If you think of why you bought an iPhone, if I just went up to you and said, hey, that iPhone they have in your hand, why did you buy it? Not everybody's gonna answer for the same reason. And these reasons are different psychological angles that you can tap into. For example, some people buy products to save money. Some people buy products to save time, right? Some people buy products because they wanna fucking look cool. Some people buy products because they want to be fast and efficient. And all of these are different angles that you can tap into. The perfect example of this, there's a brand out there called Blissy, right? This is a company that literally sells pillowcases. Like you want to talk about selling one of the most boring basic things of all time. These guys sell fucking pillowcases. And this is a multi 8-figure brand, if not 9 figures. I haven't checked up on them recently. They're at minimum multi 8 figures. And the cool thing that these guys did is the angle that they tapped into was skincare and acne prevention. And they went into this whole psychological angle of how the reason that you have skincare issues is because of the pillowcase. It's collecting all the bacteria. It's literally like planting zits and acne and pimples on your face. And if you change that to something that is cleaner and non-bacterial, then you're able to just like magically fix your acne problems. That was the angle that they ran with. So if you're good at detecting new angles and new even markets to sell the existing product to, you can make a lot of freaking money and you can actually scale successfully in your branded dropshipping store. Number 7 on this list is going to be competing on time. So if you're watching this video right now and you are broke as a fucking joke, you don't have any money to your fucking name, don't have any shame in that. I've been there. A lot of us watching this video, I've been there. Every successful entrepreneur for the most part has also been there, but you have to use that shit to your advantage, man. What I mean by that is you got to start cracking organic, all right? If you are broke as a joke, chances are you watch a lot of short form content, which means, yes, you waste a lot of your fucking time, but also you're probably pretty good at understanding what makes a good piece of content versus a bad piece of content. Use that shit to your advantage, man. If you're young and you understand social media, start creating organic content around a particular product, a particular brand, and then drive all the traffic that you're able to generate from those views to a link in bio, right? TikTok organic and TikTok shop is one of the biggest opportunities over the past few years. It's not going anywhere. We'll see if it goes anywhere, but as of right now, it's not going anywhere. Tap into that shit and just test like crazy. If you're doing this, you should be putting up a minimum of 4 posts a day and do that for fucking months on end. That's the number of reps that you have to put in to really make this shit happen. Now, the 8th thing on this list that you can compete on is going to be AI and automation, specifically AI. I really hope you guys are just diving so deep into AI right now, because I'm telling you, we're going to look back on this period of time in 10 years, 20 years and realize the fucking revolution that we were living through. There are literally AI agents that you can build for your business to execute specific tasks while you're sleeping 24/7, and it costs you a fraction of what it would cost to like hire some type of employee. We are literally creating agents in my business right now that's making everything more efficient to the point where we have some people that are going to be replaced with AI if they don't adapt. And so you can use this to your advantage. Once again, YouTube is free. There's phenomenal information out there about creating AI, not just using LLMs like ChatGPT and like Claude, but actually integrating all these AI tools together into an AI agent that run 24/7. I'll maybe create a whole separate video on this. This is something you guys want, let me know in the comment section, but this is something that I've been obsessing over myself. I've made a lot of money online and I'm obsessing about this. So if you're early, which if you're watching this video, you are early, start diving into this shit so fucking deep, because I promise you'll look back in a few years, this will be one of the best investments you've ever made. This is one of those things that literally can help you do all of these significantly faster, more efficient, and without spending as much money. All right, so obsessed about AI. Hopefully that's a main takeaway from this video. And now into the final thing that you can actually compete on in your business if you want to make money with branded dropshipping, which is competing on being acoustic. And I think this is the best way to end this video, because if you have an acoustic level of obsession, of focus to the point where people think that you're literally acoustic, or maybe you fucking are, good on you if you are. If that's you, man, that is an advantage. That is a huge competitive advantage. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world have some form of like slight autism. And if that's you, like I'm half joking and half serious, lean into that, all right? I think one of my biggest benefits myself is that I'm able to just pour myself in a very, very obsessive way to be able to figure out just about anything, all right? Times change, AI is changing everything. And what I used to be really, really good at, I'm still good at, but it's getting replaced left and right. If you don't learn how to adapt and just go all in to the point where other people are calling you fucking stupid, that is an advantage. That is a personality advantage. Just pouring yourself into deep work, into being so obsessively focused on one specific thing that other people think you're a fucking moron. That is a competitive advantage that I'm sure there's some people watching this video right now and you're like, yeah, Mark, that's totally me. Lean into that even harder, as much as you possibly can, and you can accomplish everything on this list in a fraction of the time and become extremely valuable in any fucking economy. So to wrap up here, guys, OnlyFans, yes, it can make you money in the short term. There's all these downsides, that, again, I said I'm not going to judge. I fucking judge. Let's be real. But with branded dropshipping, the cool part is it's your path to freedom instead of path to some type of enslavement by having your body out on the internet for everybody to see, okay? If you're able to use your brain and figure out how to compete on one of those 9 things that I gave you today, everything else in your branded dropshipping journey is going to be significantly easier. Now, if you like this content specifically about the competitive advantages, this is all stuff that I go into in depth inside of the mentorship program that I built with my partner called Brand Builders Academy. So if you're interested, we don't accept everybody. We're actually very strict on who we allow into the program. But if you're interested and you have some capital set aside, you can click the first link in the description and fill out an application to see if you're a good fit. Other than that, y'all, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.